Man, I haven't made any disc golf content in a long time. What have I been doing? 90s, 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 90s. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. That's alright. It's not like it's a super complicated motion with lots of different things happening at the same time. I'm sure nobody's made a super in-depth video about one of those motions and it's blown up. Wait, what's that? Yes, hello? Yes. Someone made that specific video that I was just talking about. People are saying it contradicts what I've been teaching? Has anybody paid attention to my videos for the past year and a half? Oh, they haven't. I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong number. So a few days ago, a video popped up on YouTube from Dave Dunapace called Tip of the Whip, and it basically talks about everything from the power pocket forward. He talks about how the disc should accelerate throughout the throw, how you should start slow and finish fast, and the disc pivoting out of the hand at the end, and like that's the big secret to throwing really, really far. And he's not wrong, 100%. If you're in the power pocket, as you come out of the power pocket, that's where the power comes from. And in the video, they included a really cool overhead graphic with like arms or like just things over the arms or whatever, the graphics over the arms to show how everything pivots and the way the disc moves and everything. It's a super cool video. I tried to do something like that with physics of flight a while ago, but it didn't really work out because I'm not very good at doing stuff like that. But anyway, it's a really interesting video, and I would definitely recommend you check it out. But people have been sending me this video, and they've been talking about how the disc doesn't go exactly straight. And they've been saying, well, Danny's a good beginner guide, but past that, you really need to go find somebody who knows really what they're talking about. Really, guys? Really? Really? So the two main things that people pick as the differences between what I teach and what Dave shows in the video is the reach back. They say, Dave doesn't say to reach back very far. You don't have to reach back. And while they're not wrong, the throw that Dave uses to demonstrate has the shoulders turning all the way away from the target and the disc extending back. I've always said that that's what a full reach back is, and I've even criticized myself in the past for my own form reaching past that, turning my shoulders past 90 degrees, and that's something that I've been working on to fix. I think I'm doing a lot better now, but I've repeatedly said that reaching really far back is not exactly what you want to do because it's going to throw you off balance. You want to reach back as your front foot goes forward, and you don't want to turn your shoulders past 90 degrees to the target. That's what I'm talking about. And Dave just says don't reach back as much, and I don't necessarily think that's true. Because a lot of people, yes, they are reaching back too much, but a more common mistake that I see is people who are looking forward. And this is much worse. Trying to keep your eyes on the target while trying to reach back automatically sets up your shoulder joint here at too closed. And so then you're going to be rounding and you're never going to make it into the power pocket. The other thing that people have sent me about this video is that the disc is not moving on a straight line the whole time. You can see it sort of dips down a little bit and then kind of pops out as it releases. And while they're right, it's definitely not on a straight line. It's still what I would consider a straight pull, because the alternative is a wide rail, which would basically be a more exaggerated version of that, where the disc starts even wider and finishes even wider, or a deep reach back, which is something that not a lot of people talk about, where the disc sort of has more of a deep, the person reaches a little bit more behind themselves, but still comes into the power pocket and then snaps the disc a little bit more to the right. And that generally works better for taller people. And I've talked about this in my Why Don't Pros Pull Straight? I talked about that in my video a little bit. But the disc is still moving in a relatively straight line from the reach back all the way to the release. The only difference is the disc is ejecting out at the end. And that is something that I've started to teach over the past year and a half, because I've learned that it's not exactly effective to keep the disc on a straight line all the way to the release, because you have to open up your shoulder to do that. And it's much more important to keep your shoulder at 90 degrees than it is to pull across. It's a lot more powerful to use this as an anchor for your lever, your elbow to leverage the disc, than it is to try and open it up as you're pulling the disc across. So what do I think about the video? I think it's super cool. I think just about every form nerd on the internet has wanted to see how all the mechanics and the levers and the joints work together to power the shot. It's stuff that we've kind of known, but it's really cool to see it and be able to analyze it directly. That's awesome. But as far as what Dave's teaching, I think that's kind of putting the cart before the horse? cart before the donkey, wagon before the, I don't know. It's teaching step 3, and I think most people struggle with steps 1 and 2. So what are steps 1 and 2? Well, step 1 is the X step. And what do I always teach about the X step?
To keep your feet sideways.
Exactly. And why do I say to keep your feet sideways during the X step?
Because you're trying to sabotage the entire disc golf community.
Nope.
Because it looks like a dance move?
You're close.
Because you think it's funny to watch people trip and fall.
Nope. I say to keep the feet sideways in the X step so that your weight is over your toes. So keeping your feet sideways is not integral to throwing far. You'll see plenty of big distance throwers throw with their left foot turned a little bit backwards. And that's okay, but it's important to note that their heel is most of the time going to come off the ground first. That means their weight is over their toes and they're engaging that back leg in the throw. That's what I've tried to start teaching more lately, is rather than keeping your feet perfectly sideways, just make sure your weight is over your toes and keep your X step nice and small so that you can keep your weight over your toes. Because if your X step's too big, your weight's going to fall back over your heels. You're not going to be very balanced. And that's I think step 1 to a good throw, is making sure you're in a balanced and athletic position with your weight over your toes. So step 2 is going to be the reach back. What do I always say about the reach back?
Reach back as far as you can.
No, have you watched any of my videos?
No.
So in the past, one of my biggest mistakes has been reaching too far back. You can see plenty in my logo that Kevin made for me. I'm reaching too far back. I'm turning my shoulders past 90 degrees to the target, and I'm extending the disc way too far behind me. So the reason I was doing that is because I was reaching back early, and that meant that I had time to turn my shoulders that far. What I've been working on lately is reach back timing. I've been working on peaking my reach back when my front foot touches the ground. And when I do that, my shoulders turn to 90 degrees to the target, from lined up to 90 degrees. And that is where I think the sweet spot is for a reach back. You want to make sure that you're timing it correctly and you're not extending too far, because if your shoulders are 90 degrees to the target and the disc is straight back, you're setting up this anchor, this joint here on the right angle, and you can maintain that angle the whole time. I've talked about this quite a bit, where you can reach back, pull, and release, and if I don't turn while I do it, it just looks like this: reach back, pull, and release. I think that's a super cool demonstration. So it's important to make sure that you reach back, and the other number one thing that I harp on the reach back is to make sure that the disc can see the target from the peak of the reach back. So to make sure you're not reaching across your body, because if you're reaching across your body, then you're setting up your shoulder at too small of an angle, and you're not going to be able to get to the power pocket. You're not going to be able to get to here, so you can take advantage of all that. So it's really important, first off, to make sure that your weight is over your toes. So you're in an athletic position. You're able to power the shot. You're able to shift your weight. You're able to rotate efficiently. You're balanced, everything. That's step 1. And that is a really hard thing to do. I would say 75% of disc golfers aren't doing that. So that's why I focus on footwork so much. The next thing is to reach back correctly. I would say 90% of disc golfers aren't reaching back correctly. You want to make sure that you're not reaching too far, you're not reaching across your body, you're turning your shoulders all the way, you're not still looking forward. If your head is forward as you're reaching back, even if you reach the disc straight back, your shoulders aren't going to be able to turn all the way away from the target. So that's why step 2 is very important. You want to make sure that you're turning your shoulders all the way away from the target. You're trusting your line. You're trusting your pull to get the disc where you need to go, rather than looking forward the whole time. So you're turning all the way away from the target. And then step 3 is to pull the disc into the power pocket and feel that acceleration that Dave is talking about. So it's a fantastic video. I really like it for the resource that it is to see the mechanics. But as far as what Dave is teaching, while it is factually correct, it's generally things that I think happen naturally. If you are rotating, if your weight is over your toes, if you're pulling the disc into the power pocket, the disc is going to eject out. You're going to fire it on exactly that line that he's talking about, how you push it away from your chest. You're going to feel your elbow extend, and you're going to see that distance. And that comes from having your weight over your toes and getting a good reach back that's nice and straight, and then pulling the disc into the power pocket, and then that is a result of everything else. It's not something that you should focus on. If I go out to a field and I just stand there with the disc right here and then go, it's gonna go 100 feet. And if I reach back early, if my weight's on my heels and I'm all sorts of garbage, I'm not gonna be able to get into here. I'm not going to be able to get into the power pocket. If by some miracle I do, it's still going to be, it's going to go nose up 250 feet. So if you're working on your form, while he's 100% correct, I don't think that's the place to start. I don't think starting at the release point and working backwards is the way to go. You have to start from the ground up. Start with your footwork. Start with your base. Get your legs engaged in the shot. Get you a clean brace. Reach back straight and pull the disc into the power pocket before your shoulders can turn. And then you'll feel that whip that Dave is talking about. So in summary, this is an awesome video. It's a really great visualization of what is happening during the throw. But as far as the teaching that's going on, I think it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. It's focusing on the release rather than everything that builds up to that. So if you're helped by that, if that has added power to your shot, congratulations, that's awesome. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to help everybody throw farther. And so that's awesome. Keep doing that, and power to you. But eventually, you're going to need to figure out how to X-step properly and how to reach back straight. So when you're ready for that, I'll be here. Thanks for watching, guys, and always remember, slow is smooth, and smooth is far.